In 2018, the Hallmark channel released their Pride and Prejudice-inspired Christmas rom-com Pride, Prejudice and Mistletoe. And I'm sorry to say, it's exactly as bad as you imagine. Maybe even worse. Hello and welcome to Spinster's Library. I'm Claudia and the things I do for you. I hope you appreciate them. Anyway, I watched this film. What's worse, I made Bill watch this film. So what did you make of Pride, Prejudice and Mistletoe?
I mean, it's obviously trash.
If I get divorced, it's basically your fault. Or Hallmark's fault, I suppose. I bet they sell congratulations on your divorce greetings cards. Pride, Prejudice and Mistletoe is based on the 2017 novel with the same title by Melissa de la Cruz. I don't know what attracted Hallmark to this particular retelling with an average Goodreads rating of 2.64 stars, but there was clearly something about it that made them jump on the rights and put this adaptation together. In case you actually want to watch this film, I should point out that this video will include spoilers. But don't worry, spoilers only matter if you expect this to actually have a plot. Anyway, let's not get ahead of ourselves. I haven't read the book this is based on. That is to say, I have read Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, but I have not read Pride, Prejudice and Mistletoe by Melissa de la Cruz. But to give the author some credit, it looks, based on the summary alone, to be leagues above the film adaptation. The film, as you're about to hear, has no resemblance to Pride and Prejudice at all other than a few character names. The book at least tries to take some inspiration from Jane Austen's novel. For example, Luke, who's this retelling's version of Elizabeth Bennet, actually has 4 brothers, and Darcy, a hardened New York businesswoman, actually has a personality. The adaptation forgot to include both. Oh wait, I forgot to mention that this is a gender-swapped Pride and Prejudice. So yeah, Darcy Fitzwilliam, played by Lacey Chabert, is the protagonist of this film, and Luke Bennett is the love interest, played by Brendan Penny. Before this video derails into incoherent screaming, let me give you a brief summary of the film. Actually, I can't be asked to write my own synopsis, so here's the one that Hallmark shared on their website. Darcy has always worked hard to prove herself and be successful on her own terms, even choosing to start her own company rather than work with her father. Returning to her hometown for Christmas, Darcy reconnects with an old rival, restaurant owner Luke, and they are forced to plan a charity event together. As Darcy spends time with her family and Luke, she starts to realize what matters most in life, and sets out to mend her relationship with her father and possibly fall in love. With her father? How intriguing, you might think. Not just to make Darcy the woman and Lizzie the man, but also to make Darcy the protagonist, to see Pride and Prejudice from Darcy's point of view. There's so many interesting possibilities here. I'm sorry to say that none of them actually made it into Pride, Prejudice and Mistletoe. It's a good idea. It's a fun twist on a normal retelling of Pride and Prejudice, but they did not have the balls to actually go through with it.
They could have done a lot better if they'd had the balls to make Luke the main character.
That's exactly it, right? Because Darcy is the main character, but she's also the Mr. Darcy of this, which means that she has to be unlikable, because that's the whole point. Mr. Darcy is unlikable at the beginning of the story, and they just could not have a protagonist of a Hallmark film rom-com be even slightly unlikable.
See, because at the start I thought they could have done that, because I'm thinking, oh, she's an investment banker, I automatically hate her. I'm not supposed to. That's presented as that's a perfectly good thing to be, and sort of good and charitable. And to any investment bankers listening, I just want to be clear, I hate you too. But I don't think we're supposed to really judge her character based on anything. She's the perfect and gorgeous, hardworking, successful and rich Darcy.
Luke, the Elizabeth Bennet equivalent, is just as bland as Darcy is, so at least there's equality in that. He has none of the qualities of Elizabeth Bennet, starting with her wit and ending in 4 siblings. He's got none of that. The gender swapping didn't work because, okay, it didn't work for so many reasons I don't even know where to start. They could have made Darcy a cold-hearted bitch, but it didn't, because female protagonists in Hallmark movies aren't allowed to be cold-hearted bitches, even if they get a redemption arc in the end. They could have made Luke sassy and quick-witted and funny, but there's nothing about this film that's sassy or quick-witted or funny, and so he ends up being a cardboard cutout of a human entirely devoid of personality. His greatest achievement in this film is his choice of coats. It would be easy for me to say that gender-swapping Pride and Prejudice couldn't work at all, but that would also be a lie. It could work wonderfully well if a good writer puts actual thought into it. What makes Fitzwilliam Darcy such a memorable character? He's a prejudiced asshole, that's what. And a proud one. It's kind of in the title of the book. His preconceptions about Lizzie are obstacles for him to overcome, and in the book he only manages that after his pride takes a bit of a knock when Lizzie has the audacity to reject him. These are things you could very easily transfer to a modern 21st century woman. Maybe a modern female Darcy comes across as heartless because that's what she needs to be to break the glass ceiling of the male-dominated finance world of New York City. Except no, her boss in this is a black woman who could have been Lady Catherine levels of evil, but mostly just nags Darcy about not spending enough time emailing a client during the Christmas break. A modern male Lizzie could be pressured by his family to date because they're worried he'll end up a misogynistic incel when all he really wants is a sharp-witted woman with a heart of gold who will put up with his annoying brothers. Instead, what you get is Luke with no brothers, no wit, no flaws at all. The human equivalent of, you know what, he's not the human equivalent of vanilla ice cream because vanilla ice cream is delicious. He's the human equivalent of an unsalted egg white omelette. He doesn't have a mother. He doesn't have any family, and this is also such a rom-com thing, right? That the female characters have the rom-com family, right? So they have like the overbearing mother or the stern father, and I mean, this Hallmark film fails at both of these things anyway.
They've got both of those. They're just not very good. Not very good, and just too safe, you know, because the mother and the father are so loving. Because and the sister who's happily married and having a child,
having a baby, which also I don't know where that entire why do these characters exist?
That's the rom-com elements coming in instead of the Pride and Prejudice stuff.
But Pride and Prejudice has got such a good rom-com family, right? Because the whole point is that Lizzie Bennet's family is so awful and embarrassing and makes her so much trouble. And is the main reason why Darcy doesn't want her at first, is because she's got this terrible family. And they could have given that to Luke, or they could have given that to Darcy, but they didn't. They just put some very bland cardboard cutouts of a rom-com family in their place. Alright, let's talk about the capitalism thing.
This film has got big capitalist undertones, hasn't it? They're all
the Hallmark channel.
They're all big accountants.
Once again, this is a missed opportunity. And I should point out here that no, I didn't really expect a Hallmark film to make meaningful points about the way corporations are destroying our society. But it would have been nice.
She's a good accountant. She's trying to...
I'm pretty sure she's like a hedge fund manager.
Yeah, it's that kind of... It's something like that. We don't know finance, do we? She's some kind of financier, and she's trying to bring to her organisation, to her company, this idea that they could help out like smaller businesses, like do a little bit of sort of almost charitable sort of investing. Because she's good capitalism and they're evil capitalism. They're not necessarily evil, they're pushing her out because they just want to do the making money stuff, but they're not made out to be particularly evil even because of it. You see, Pride and Prejudice has a lot to say about class, not to the same degree that later Victorian authors such as Dickens and Gaskell and the Brontes would. But class, and by extension wealth, is baked into the subtext of every interaction in the book. It's subtle, it very much functions within an early 19th century British context, but it's there, the difference in status between the Bennets and the Bingleys, the unique role and reputation of the military as exemplified by Wickham, Darcy and his lofty position in society. There's methods of transferring these nuances into a modern American retelling in a way that makes sense to a 21st century viewer. And one really easy way is using Darcy's work, her position at this New York investment bank or whatever it is, as a shorthand. It's the perfect analogy. In the book, Darcy is almost held back by his status, by his rank,
personified by his aunt, Lady Catherine de Bourgh. It's those restraints of status that make it impossible for him to let himself get to know Lizzie, and in the end, he has to go against those restraints, he has to overcome them in order to find happiness. Whereas in Pride, Prejudice and Mistletoe, the fact that Darcy works for this, by definition, exploitative industry has no influence at all on her character. Because you see, unlike the rest of them, she's a good hedge fund manager. Scrap that actually, they're all good hedge fund managers. Lady Catherine has more evil in her little finger. She has more evil in her littlest fingernail than the entire board of directors of Darcy Fitzwilliams Investment Bank Hedge Fund Wall Street Corporation. Luke Bennett is a successful restaurant owner. Why is he a successful restaurant owner? I get that a man who cooks is supposed to be sexy in the realm of rom-coms, but why not have him be a waiter struggling in the messed up system that is America's labor culture? The only struggle he has is that he's looking for a new investor who shows up with a metaphorical bag of dollar bills within about 3 seconds of him expressing that wish. Capitalism is not an evil in this film, not even in the superficial way we've learned to expect from romantic comedies. Instead, it's a solution to every single problem anyone ever has in its 90-ish minutes of runtime. Darcy is getting, not bullied really, mildly inconvenienced at work. Also, she wants to leave the big grey city to live the suburban dream with the blandest man in Ohio. Not a problem. She can team up with her small-town investment banker dad and have it all. Luke needs money for his already pretty snazzy-looking restaurant. Oh look, there's a rich lady just dying to give him millions. The waiters at the fundraising event have dropped out at the last minute.
Have you heard from the service staff? I haven't seen any of the servers yet.
There's an easy solution to that, and it's child labor. No, really. It is child labor.
See, the kids are all here. We don't want to be in the way while you finish setting up, but they'd love to help if there's anything we can do.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
I hope so.
It's a great fix, Darcy. Honestly, even better than hired help.
I didn't expect to put them to work.
No, they're just excited to show their gratitude.
It's like it was meant to be.
I really wish I could say this film is so bad it's good, or even so bad it's worth a hate watch. But it fails at reaching even that low, low bar. Everything about it is just so dull. There's barely any plot. The characters are so boring, you don't care whether they live or die. Even the acting is... I mean, it's not good, but it's not hilariously bad either. It's perfunctory. It does the job. Except for the actor who plays Darcy's father, he's just awful. My cat could do a better job and she can't read. This film lacks everything that makes a cheesy Christmas film worth watching. There's no chemistry there at all. There's no conflict. There's no comedy. Calling Pride, Prejudice and Mistletoe a rom-com is a stretch, because that term suggests a story that's in equal parts funny and romantic. This film manages to spectacularly fail at both.
It had jokes, didn't it?
Name one.
I thought it had jokes.
No, what it does, instead of jokes, is people saying really trite things and then going, ah! That's what it's got.
You started this.
Yeah, and I'm gonna finish it.
Don't count on it.
Okay.
The only time this film made me actually laugh is not even an intended moment of comedy. It's the first time Luke and Darcy stand under the titular mistletoe, and he just sort of points at it, the camera follows, and it's a close-up of this hideous plasticky piece of tat dangling from the ceiling. It's supposed to be romantic, but it's not. And look, I'm not dragging the genre of Christmas rom-coms here. There's nothing wrong with a bit of sugary, sweet, low stakes, festive romance. I watched Love Actually when it came out like every other millennial before we collectively realized how creepy that film actually is. I love a bit of kitsch. Bridget Jones, iconic. Also hasn't aged well, mind, but at least it's a Pride and Prejudice retelling that doesn't completely ignore the source material. Pride, Prejudice and Mistletoe doesn't even throw us a truth universally acknowledged shaped bone.
Unlike other rom-coms, there is zero conflict throughout this movie. There is no tension whatsoever. From the beginning to the end, you know exactly how they're going to get together, exactly how their relationship's going to progress, and it's kind of marked by these mistletoe scenes and all of that. And there's something comforting in that, I guess. There's the regularity of it. There's nothing bad happens to them at all, except the very silly, contrived bit where he overhears her ex saying that he wants her back. Spoilers. He overhears her ex saying that he wants her back, but doesn't hear her response, which is no, and just assumes they're getting together.
Because he stomps off before she even has a chance to answer. As a rom-com, it's bad. As a Pride and Prejudice retelling, it's downright insulting. That's what pisses me off so much about it. It's not the fact that it's bad, it's that it pretends to be a Pride and Prejudice retelling when it's really not. It has exactly none of the things that make Pride and Prejudice what it is. Name your favorite thing about Pride and Prejudice and I can guarantee that this film does not include it. Hilarious love-to-hate characters like Mr. Collins and Lady Catherine, not there. Complicated family relationships? Nope. There are no references to Pride and Prejudice at all other than the names. And I have to say, Darcy Fitzwilliam, amazing. Perfect. Other than that, there's nothing. None of the plot points of Pride and Prejudice are in any way referenced. None of the actual words in the book are quoted. None of the characters make it through. It fails so badly at being a Pride and Prejudice retelling. All the interesting people in Pride and Prejudice have been replaced with completely meaningless characters who have no influence at all on the paper-thin plot of this retelling and whose purpose is the only mystery this film has to offer. Witty, romantically charged banter? Not here. There's a few references to Darcy and Luke facing off in their high school debating society, but something truly tragic must have happened to their brains since their teenage years, because the adults we see in the film are witless and dull. It's not even that this adaptation took Pride and Prejudice and filed off the edges. It's more that this is a soft, watery, mushy, flavourless mess of a film that they've lazily scrawled the words Pride and Prejudice, and for no reason at all also mistletoe on, simply because they know those words in that combination will sell. This is a witless film, and I'm genuinely angry at the people who made it. I'm not as dramatic as to say that this film sullies the name of Jane Austen, because she's way above that. But if you are one of the unlucky souls to have seen Pride, Prejudice and Mistletoe without having read Pride and Prejudice, then you will probably be put off that book, and that is a crime. Whatever you do this Christmas, don't spend it watching Pride, Prejudice and Mistletoe. Thank you for watching. Bye.
I feel if we talk about it for any longer, we're taking it more seriously than we're supposed to. Certainly more than it deserves.
Let's finish it there then.
Thanks for joining me on the retro sofa.
That's not going to make it past the cut. Should I plug your channel?
If you want to know what all of this is, I have a channel called The Retro Sofa where I talk about this.
Link in the description box.